Welcome to Fun and Fundraising, everybody, the podcast where we talk with people behind top nonprofit galas and signature fundraising events to showcase how they positively transform their communities. I am your host, Rob Giardinelli, and today I am really excited to have Angela Garcia on as a guest. Angela is the co-founder of the Sergio and Angela Garcia Foundation. And they have a relatively new event. It's its second year, but it's one of those rare lightning in a bottle events that really captured some sort of zeitgeist within a community. And it's called FOREKids ATX. And we're really excited to talk with her about the foundation, about FOREKids, and really, creating maximum impact to multiple organizations within a community. So with that, Angela, welcome. And we're so excited to have you on as a guest today.
Thank you so much, Rob. I'm ecstatic to be here and to talk about, all the good work that we're doing in the community and all the good work that you're doing as well.
I really appreciate that. Thank you. So, talk a little bit about what the mission of your foundation is.
So our foundation is the Sergio and Angela Garcia Foundation. And as you mentioned, our big fundraising event is FOREKids ATX, little play on words there. For is FORE for a nod to golf. But our mission is to help kids and community. That's our biggest goal. Any and all organizations that are helping children, bettering their lives in, various ways, we try to support. And then we just love our community. We love our community of Austin, Texas, the state itself, and of course, Spain, where Sergio is from. So we do a lot of things back in Spain as well. And we've been really blessed. Sergio and I have both worked really, really hard to get where we are. But we want to do everything we can to give back as much as possible because we just feel like that's how we can leave an impact on this world.
That's great. And, because, you two have lived, in Austin for a good period of time, what made the two of you decide Austin was the right community for you?
Sure. Well, I'm actually from Central Texas. I grew up in a little town called Marble Falls, which is about an hour outside of Austin. It's actually not so little anymore, but when we moved there, when I was a kid, it was a really tiny town, and I was so fortunate to grow up there. I grew up on a ranch as a true Texan. I would come home from school and take care of my horses and shovel stalls and train them. And we had a lot of cows and deer and just had an amazing childhood. And obviously, Central Texas is so close to my heart, and I'm a seventh generation Texan. But then there's Sergio, my husband, who is from Spain. We joke about it because I'm a seventh generation. He's probably a 1,000th generation Spaniard. His family has probably been in Spain for literally thousands of years. But the first time he came to Austin was in 2015 when he played in the Dell Match Play for the first time. And we were just friends at the time. We had actually barely met. It's back when I was working for NBC and Golf Channel and reporting. And he told me that he kind of instantly fell in love with Austin because it had sort of a laid back European Spanish vibe to him. The food scene was amazing. The people were really nice, like the people in Spain are. And then he started coming back, year after year, playing in the Dell Match Play. We started dating. He started spending some time here. And then we actually didn't move to Austin full time until the beginning of 2022. And it just, was kind of instantly love at first sight. I mean, the first year that we moved here, we wanted to do something to help the community. So we did our inaugural event in the United States in 2022. We actually had events in Europe before that. But we love Austin. We think it's such a wonderful city. We think Texas is a great state. And I'm just glad that Sergio fell in love with it so easily. And I didn't have to force him to move to Austin.
That's great. And, so can you clarify, had you started a foundation upon moving to Austin, or is it something that you had started previously before you had moved here?
Great question. So no, we had the foundation previously, but most of our work we were doing in Europe. We have a foundation in Spain and a foundation in Switzerland as well. And that is the Sergio Garcia Foundation. And Sergio started that, back in about 2000. So that, those foundations have been around for over 20 years. And those foundations have raised millions of dollars in both countries. And most of that money has gone to building new like wings and hospitals for x-rays for child cancer patients, and to give money to research for child cancer, things like that in both countries. Again, really impacting, helping children and helping the communities that they live in. So that has been highly successful. They also would teach people how to teach golf. So they would teach pros how to teach golf to children with disabilities, which I think is really cool, because Sergio and I are big believers in what the sport of golf can do for young people. It teaches them, integrity and how to believe in themselves, and how to be positive, how to be honest, those sort of things. And you have to have, unique skill to be able to teach some people with certain disabilities. And so we thought that was really important. And then in 2017, we launched the Sergio and Angela Garcia Foundation in the United States. And Sergio was really sweet. He wanted to include my name in that because I was, doing the bulk of the work here in the United States and taking on, all the projects, running the foundation. So we actually have, kind of three separate things going on, but they're all benefiting, the same mission. And we're really proud of that we can impact, so much in different countries.
That's a great answer, and I really appreciate how you outlined that. And we'll definitely dive a little bit more into the organizations that you support specifically here. But before we do that, what advice would you give to somebody? Because and I work with my spouse, so I understand what that is. What is a piece of advice you would give to someone looking to do some sort of professional collaboration, whether it's a business, whether it's a nonprofit foundation, with your spouse?
Well, you better have a strong marriage before you dive into that. I think in all seriousness, Sergio and I, we really have a great relationship, and we laugh a lot and we have a lot of fun together. And I think that's helpful, because sometimes some of these issues that we're talking about, that we're facing, some of the the organizations that we will go and visit, you see some really difficult things, and some of the topics are really difficult. It just to hear about children that are going to Dell Children's Medical with these diseases that maybe are they're never going to be cured, or things like that. It's really hard to wrap your head around it. So I think having that strong relationship, being able to be lighthearted when you're away from that, is really important. And then you have to, I think if you don't have the same passions and interests, that's totally fine. I think sometimes that's what makes a marriage work. You might be completely opposite, and opposites attract, but if you do have the same passions and interests, then, I would harness those and put your energy, if you're going to work together, into those passions and interests, because, then you'll be working to a common goal. And I think that'll, make you more successful.
Absolutely. It's like the power of two. That like when you were giving that response, I was like, that's exactly what that is. It's, when you have a joint passion, you can really accomplish great things when two minds and two energies are put behind it. I think that's fantastic. So, you've talked quite a bit about, various nonprofits and all that. And what I love about what you all do is that you're, the event FOREKids and Party and everything that goes around it, it benefits a host of nonprofits, mostly in the Central Texas area. Talk about how you and the foundation team go about selecting those nonprofits that the organization will decide to support.
Well, when we were selecting the nonprofits for FOREKids ATX, it was obviously not an easy task, because there are so many deserving nonprofits, not just in Central Texas, but everywhere. And instead of creating our own program with the Sergio and Angela Garcia Foundation, we decided to support existing organizations or foundations that were doing great work. So we didn't reinvent the wheel. And Dell Children's Medical is, one of the best children's hospitals in the entire country. Our son has actually been there twice. He actually had a seizure at school the first time that he went there, and we saw firsthand the kind of care that they could give, and just blew us away. We had already started supporting Dell Children's Medical, and it's amazing that how everything comes full circle. And here we were in an ambulance heading to the emergency room with our son, knowing that we were going to a place that does such amazing work, and knowing that, you know, we're supporting that work. So that was for us kind of an easy decision. And then there's also Foster Village, which is a lesser known organization in the Central Texas area, but they are doing equally as incredible work. Their motto is basically every child needs a village beyond the foster system. And one of my best friends, they are foster parents. So this woman has been my best friend since I was literally 8 years old. They now foster children. They have 2 biological children as well. And Sergio and I have learned so much about the foster system through them. And I learned that it's broken. It's cyclical. You see, you know, kids that were in the foster system then have children that end up in the foster system. And there's just not enough support, not only for the children in the foster system themselves, but also for the families who are foster families and trying to do this incredible work. So Foster Village basically steps in and they provide everything from A to Z for both foster children and for the families that they are placed with. So if you get a call at 3 a.m. and you have an 8-month-old coming to stay with you and you don't have a crib, you don't have a stroller, you don't have diapers, you can go to Foster Village. They will open their doors 24/7. They will provide you with all of those items at no cost. They're all brand new. They will help you get set up. And then for the children that are in the foster system, they will provide new clothes, new shoes. A lot of these kids have never had a pair of brand new shoes. They get to come in, they get to pick a pair of shoes, they get to pick a brand new toy. We've spent quality time at their headquarters with some of these kids. These kids are incredible. They're so deserving of these things. And then they also have a facility at the headquarters that provides therapy, play therapy, traditional therapy for both the children, their biological parents, and then also the foster families. And maybe, you know, think about it. If you're a biological child of foster parents, and then you have a child come into your home that you've never met before, that could be difficult. Yeah. And so they even provide play therapy and therapy for the biological children of the foster parents. They're just doing incredible work. They're working to expand into other states. I think they're in 9 states now, if I'm not mistaken, growing tremendously. And we just truly believe in the work that they are doing and in the good change that they are making with the foster system. And I'll just quickly explain the other 2. So I'm on the board of Save Muni, which is a golf course, Lyons Municipal, in the heart of Austin, Texas. 15 high school and middle school teams practice there. It's the only affordable golf in the heart of Austin. If we lose that golf course to development, all of these children who would not otherwise have the opportunity to play golf, and adults for that matter, will lose a place to play golf. Again, as I mentioned before, Sergio and I have seen firsthand the good that golf does for young people. It gets them outdoors. It's a bit of exercise. You know, they're breathing fresh air. And we're talking about kids that their parents can't afford to go join a private country club. This is a place that they need. And not only that, it's a beautiful piece of land in the heart of Austin. And Austin doesn't have a lot of green space. We're one of the largest cities in the country, yet we have very little green space compared to most other large cities, which most people don't know that statistic. And then finally, we support the Ugly Foundation, which is a foundation I started about 3 years ago. It's an anti-bullying foundation. Ugly is spelled UGLI. It's an acronym that stands for Unique, Gifted, Loved, and Individual. And we are in schools across Central Texas and working to expand. We have clubs in the schools that are a safe space. They're welcoming to anyone. It's a place where kids can feel included. And then we also have Ugly Chats, where I go with a co-speaker and speak to kids about bullying and the effects that it has on, you know, their peers and just kind of how to combat bullying. And then we also have Ugly Ambassadors, which are kids who represent our foundation in their schools. They are a safe person to talk to. They can help you find a trusted adult if you are experiencing bullying. And our programs are growing. We're super excited about everything, but I think that, you know, most people are starting to become aware that bullying is a really big problem in our society. especially now with social media, it's exacerbated. It used to be, you and I would, when we were in school, we'd go to school, we may have somebody who teases us, but we'd come home and that would be the end of it.
Yeah.
You got a bit of a break from it. Now it's never ending with social media and text messages and everything. So our goal at the Ugly Foundation, our mission is literally to end bullying forever. I hope to see a world one day where that's no longer something that our young people, have to be afraid of when they are just trying to go to school to learn.
Thank you for sharing your incredible passion for children's causes. One is that, but two is also your generosity. Because, one of the things, especially for anyone who's more of a business oriented listener who listens to this, nonprofits work together in unison. So the fact that you have, your own foundation, you realize that you do a specific thing really well, but there are other things that other nonprofits do well. And together you create this wonderful network of, organizations that can positively impact the community where children are concerned, because the medical needs may not be the same needs as bullying needs that are not the same needs as someone in the foster system. And I love how you were so thoughtful and intentional with the organizations that you pick, because it really is a holistic view of what a child may need or experience, also with safe, muni, and exercise. And one thing about the question I have for you is, you had mentioned that Sergio started his foundation benefiting children long before you two ever met. So where does your joint passion for children, supporting children's causes, come from?
Well, Sergio, anyone who's known Sergio since he was a young kid will know that he just loves kids. He's that guy who will get on the ground and be rolling around, wrestling with the kids in the middle of maybe the team or the player dining, at a golf tournament. There's countless stories from other golfers, talking about, I remember when Sergio was 21 years old and he, my son was 3 and he had him on his shoulders and took him around the golf course. And another story of a golfer who they had an emergency and Sergio just happened to be right there, jumped in the car, rushed them to the hospital, at a golf tournament because their child was having an emergency. Just, again, countless stories like that. He's definitely a child whisperer. He's so great with kids. And of course we have 2 small children of our own. We have a 5-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son. And we are so blessed to have them. We have, such a wonderful family. Sergio is an amazing father. When he's home, he literally packs their lunches for me, every morning, and cuts up fruit for them for breakfast and, makes them eggs or toast, whatever they want. And he's such a big help. But I think our love and passion for helping children comes from, for me, it came really from when I started to have nieces and nephews and then my own children, and realizing that they are our next generation and we have to take care of them, particularly when you talk about the foster system or when it comes to their health. They can't advocate for themselves. We have to be their advocates. We have to be there for kids. Again, with bullying, it's the same thing. Their minds are not completely developed. They don't understand that what they're seeing on social media is not an accurate depiction of what life is really like. That they don't need to compare themselves to all the perfection that they see on Instagram or wherever it may be. And again, Sergio has just always kind of been that guy who has, this love and passion for kids and animals for that matter. And he actually told me once that if we had met when we were both about, 22 and he would have been about 27, that we'd have 4 or 5 kids. But we're met when I was 30 and he was 35. So we were a little older. So I think we're going to be done at 2 kids, but we're going to try to help, as many kids as possible. Hopefully, when it's all said and done, we've helped tens of thousands of children, just lead better lives.
Thank you for sharing that, and where your passion for children comes from. And one of the things that living in Austin that you're fortunate about is that the incredible generosity in terms of philanthropy for children's causes really is second to none, I would say, to any other city in the United States where children's causes are concerned. And you two in particular, you and Sergio in particular, have really done an amazing job of integrating yourselves into the community. Like you said, you really haven't made Austin your full-time home only within the last couple of years. So how has your community involvement with multiple causes, and you're also going to be dancing, we've actually recorded a segment already for Dancing with the Stars, of which Angela is going to be one of the celebrity dancers. So how has that community involvement helped get other community leaders to support FOREKids ATX and the work that you're doing?
Well, great question. And first of all, I could not agree more. Austin is such a generous city. It blows my mind every day, the generosity that I witness in this city. And that's a huge reason why we were so comfortable with launching this event and knowing that we would receive tremendous support for it. And the community came out and did not disappoint last year. We raised over $2 million in our inaugural event, which was incredible. But yeah, Sergio and I are really highly involved in a lot of organizations, across Austin. Just I mentioned earlier, I'm on the board of Save Muni. I'm the co-chair of the American Heart Association, one of their programs here in Austin. We attend numerous events, as many charity events as we can. We try to donate as much as we can. We buy as many auction packages as we can, because there are so many causes that we believe in. And I MC events around town. Sometimes I'll appear and speak at these events, about my passion for that cause. And as much of that as I can do and as Sergio can do, we're happy to, it's donating our time. We feel like is a great way to help the community. And then of course, people see us out, trying to make a difference. And I know that helps. We want to do our part. And I think that people are also helping us and doing their part. There's no doubt about that. And we're just really blessed to have some amazing friends in Austin that are really, really generous, that get the word out. We have amazing friends across the country who will be, attending the event at the beginning of December for FOREKids ATX. And but no doubt you make a great point, Rob, that as much as you can be involved in the community, it's great because then people see you, out doing your part, and it, I think, inspires them to want to do the same.
Absolutely. And when you do that, and I've noticed that really here, is when you put yourself out there and then you make an ask, other people will give it in kind. And it's not about, I've got a name and I just show up. And I know of plenty of nonprofit organizations throughout the state or throughout the country that do that. And they're not effective because they're not doing the passionate and tireless work that you do and that Sergio does every day. And it's noted and it's seen. So anyone, if you're looking to have like a major name as a headliner, they've got to be doing the work, and they've got to be able to connect to the cause to make the event successful. It's a combination of those things. That is a factor, but it is certainly not the factor, and it's got to be stewarded in a really effective way, like Angela and Sergio do with FOREKids. And I think this would be a good time to kind of talk about what people can expect, because it's a 2-day extravaganza is what I'm going to call it. So talk a little bit about what goes on during those 2 days and what people can expect at this year's FOREKids.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for that compliment. Sergio and I try to do as much as we can. We're not perfect, but we're trying. So thank you for that. Well, FOREKids ATX, as you said, is a 2-day event. We don't do anything small. And of course we're in Texas, so go big or go home. On Friday, December 1st, we have Partee, which is PARTEE, another nod to golf. And that is our big, gala with the live auction and the concert and delicious food and things like that. And people can just expect a really fun night. That night is about food and friendship and music and raising great money for great, charities, great organizations. That's the night where we want people to open up their wallets. They'll see the stories that we're telling this year, some of the interviews that we did. Bring your tissues, because there's going to be a lot of tears. I'm particularly excited for people to see the story of Maureen Molak. Her son unfortunately took his life because of bullying.
Oh gosh.
And an amazing kid, bright kid, super involved, loved basketball, and he just was relentlessly bullied and couldn't take it anymore. But she took such a terrible tragedy and turned it into something positive. And her and her husband created the David's Legacy Foundation. And she's the reason why there's been legislation passed in the state of Texas that makes the online bullying of a minor illegal. It's a Class A misdemeanor to bully a minor online in the state of Texas. And now David's Law 2.0 was just passed recently, and that requires all schools, all public schools in the state of Texas to have an organization that addresses bullying. And the David's Legacy Foundation is, I guess, backing up and supporting Ugly Clubs in schools to be that organization. So we're working hand in hand. Just another example, I think, of organizations working together. We're not competing, even though our mission is similar and we're trying to raise money for the same thing. We're not competing. We're working together hand in hand. I think that's something that people should always remember, because sometimes it feels like in the philanthropy world, there's a little bit of competition when really I think the end goal is just to all do something good. So that's something that people can see on that Friday night. It's going to be a great night. We have a huge musical guest, Breland, coming to play, he's an amazing country singer and can basically do any genre of music. He's great at covers, so that's going to be a lot of fun. And he's bringing a special guest. And then on December 2nd, that morning, we'll have the golf tournament and a holiday shopping boutique for anyone who doesn't want to play golf. We'll have IVs for people on the driving range in case you need an IV after the party on Friday night. We want to make sure that you're good to go. But we have some incredible, we're thinking of everything, Rob. We'll have some incredible golfers there. We'll have obviously Sergio Garcia. We'll have Bryson DeChambeau, Patrick Reed, Harold Varner III, a lot of really amazing golfers, and then also some non-golf celebrities participating as well. And that's just going to be another fun day, some more opportunities to raise money. And then we'll have a little 19th hole party after that. And, close it out with a bang and just say thank you to everyone who's there and who participated. But it's going to be a great event. And just the main goal is to raise as much money as possible for these incredible organizations that we are so passionate about.
So I love how that's a lot of fun stuff. And I'm glad you give people an extra boost to get them over the finish line if needed. That's probably the most genius thing I've ever heard of anyone having at an event. But in all seriousness, so, to raise $2 million in your first year is really incredible. And I know that a lot of that can stem from having effective tribute videos. So like when you were talking about, one of the tribute videos this year in terms of, that really creating an emotional impact. What advice would you give to an organization? Because there are so many people that would be worthy of having a video tribute. What is a piece of advice you would give to somebody in selecting the right tributes or the right testimonial videos during the program for a specific audience?
I think that's a really great thing to think about. I mean, the videos, the stories, the tribute videos, as you said, they're really important because that's the opportunity for the people who are in attendance to see what their money is going towards. And first of all, the people that you use have to be comfortable, with sharing their story to the world. But you have to pull at people's heartstrings. That's how you really get people to understand what's going on, in the world, maybe things that they don't know about. I've been to numerous events where I didn't know much, and then about, kind of what was happening with that particular organization. And then I saw the video and it just opened my eyes completely. And I understood and wanted to give even more because of that. So when selecting the story, definitely think about, is this going to accurately depict what you're supporting if you choose to support our organization?
That's a great answer. And that's really kind of the thing to kind of look for. I mean, there's so many aspects, but I love how succinctly you kind of laid all that out. And I think that's, and I know we're running a little short on time here, but I did want to end with one question. And that is, you've hosted events and you've been a guest at events. What is one thing all successful nonprofit events have in common?
Oof, tough one. I think that the one thing that all successful nonprofit events have in common is that they allow people to have that combination of having a great time, but never forgetting why you're there. And I think that those videos that we're talking about, those stories, is the perfect example. When you can show people that we can have a really, really good time, but also take this opportunity to raise a ton of money for this organization, I think that's when you kind of, hit the jackpot, if you will. I think there's multiple events in Austin that do a really, really great job of that. Several come to mind, and we just want our event, to be one of those and to continue to grow every year. And again, the people in Austin have been so generous, and we're truly, truly grateful for that.
Well, ending on gratitude, I think, is a great way to end a segment. So, Angela, I'm grateful for you for taking the time today, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And the second annual FOREKids ATX, benefiting the Sergio and Angela Garcia Foundation, will be held on December 1st and 2nd, 2023 in Austin, Texas. For more information, please visit FOREKidsATX.org. And that will do it for this episode of Fun and Fundraising. I'm your host, Rob Giardinelli, reminding you to keep it fun, keep it interesting, and your guests will have a great time. Have a great day, everyone, and take care.